Oh, my dears, gather round, because we have another absolutely scintillating chapter in the saga of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, a tale so rich with palace intrigue and jaw-dropping reversals of fortune, it could only belong to the British royal family. Just when you thought the drama had reached its crescendo, our erstwhile prince, now stripped of his grand titles, finds himself embroiled in yet another astonishing standoff. And this time, it's not just the public at large, but his own flesh and blood who are, rather pointedly, showing him the door from what was supposed to be a quiet, temporary refuge. What began as a seemingly innocuous, short-term arrangement has, predictably, morphed into a full-blown, utterly embarrassing power struggle, truly testing the frayed nerves and dwindling patience of the entire royal household. Can you even begin to comprehend the sheer audacity? Just a mere handful of months after enduring the public indignity of being unceremoniously evicted from the palatial splendor of Royal Lodge, our disgraced former royal, Prince Andrew no more, is once again defying expectations. He is, quite frankly, refusing to budge from Wood Farm, a far more modest, yet historically significant, cottage nestled within the vast, tranquil acres of the Sandringham estate. This charming abode was intended solely as his temporary sanctuary, a place to lie low while his designated permanent residence underwent much-needed renovations. But, as we've seen countless times before in royal circles, nothing is ever truly temporary when a certain level of comfort is achieved. Let's rewind a little, shall we, and unravel the intricate tapestry of events that brought us to this rather sticky wicket. The hammer, as it were, finally fell on that fateful day, October 30, 2025. King Charles III, having patiently, or perhaps impatiently, bided his time, at last decided to pull the trigger on a decision that many across the globe had deemed long overdue. With a stroke of a pen, or perhaps a rather pointed royal decree, he systematically divested his younger brother, Andrew, of every single remaining title and honor. The transformation was swift, stark, and utterly complete. The man once known as Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, a figure of significant royal standing, was summarily reduced to the rather plain and unadorned designation of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. The reasons for this monumental demotion? A relentless, years-long barrage of mounting public pressure, an unyielding tide of scrutiny over his deeply unsettling association with the now convicted sex offender, Jeffrey Epstein. The scandal had, at long last, reached its inevitable breaking point, leaving an indelible stain on the monarchy itself. The eviction from Royal Lodge wasn't merely a symbolic gesture, a gentle nudge out the door. No, my dears, it was a brutal, uncompromising severance. This magnificent, sprawling 30-room Windsor mansion had been Andrew's cherished home since the year 2004. Imagine, if you will, the sheer opulence: a private chapel for quiet contemplation, a sparkling swimming pool for leisurely dips, and expansive outdoor terraces perfect for entertaining. He had, with considerable foresight, even paid a cool £1 million for a 75-year lease way back in 2003, fully expecting to reside within its stately walls until the year 2078. But by January 2026, the whispers from within the hallowed halls of the palace grew louder, clearer, and far more insistent. Palace insiders, speaking with an air of absolute finality, made it abundantly, unequivocally clear that he simply had to be out by January 25. As one close confidant of Andrew rather tellingly revealed, he had harbored intentions of clinging on at Royal Lodge for just a little while longer, but the message, delivered with an unmistakable firmness, was that it was time to go. There was no room for negotiation, no quarter given. The humiliation, dear readers, was so utterly complete, so profoundly crushing, that Andrew chose to make his ignominious exit under the shroud of darkness on February 4, 2026. A stark, almost theatrical moment, wouldn't you agree? The man who once commanded a veritable small army of staff, an impressive contingent of 28 individuals including no fewer than 4 personal chefs to cater to his every culinary whim, and 3 valets to ensure his attire was always impeccable, saw his retinue brutally slashed. His once bustling household was reduced to a paltry 3 remaining staff members. From a grand entourage to the bare minimum, a sobering testament to his precipitous fall from grace. In the immediate aftermath of this seismic shift, Wood Farm, that unassuming 5-bedroom cottage, seemed to emerge as the perfect, if temporary, balm for Andrew's wounded ego and sudden homelessness. Tucked away in a wonderfully secluded corner of the sprawling Sandringham estate, it possessed a special, almost poignant significance. This, you see, was the very place where the late, beloved Prince Philip had chosen to spend his golden retirement years. Philip, with his characteristic hands-on approach and artistic flair, had lovingly adorned its walls with his own artwork, meticulously redesigned both the kitchen and the bedrooms, infusing the space with his unique personality. He had even, rather charmingly, tended to a truffle farm on the grounds, a venture that yielded its first successful crop of highly prized Périgord black truffles in 2018. It was envisioned as a quiet, unassuming retreat, a place where Andrew could, at least in theory, lay low, out of the glare of the relentless public spotlight, while his designated permanent residence, Marsh Farm, underwent its necessary, extensive renovations. But here, my friends, is precisely where our story begins to take a rather familiar, almost predictable, turn. Sources positioned close to this delicate situation have begun to quietly, yet persistently, voice their growing concerns. They speak with an unsettling prescience about the alarming speed with which these so-called temporary arrangements in royal life can, almost imperceptibly, cement themselves into something far more permanent. There is a palpable, growing unease within palace circles, a gnawing worry that once Andrew settles into the tranquil rhythms and comforts of Wood Farm, once he becomes truly ensconced while Marsh Farm is still languishing in its state of completion, there may be absolutely no persuading him to ever leave. As one rather blunt insider, clearly exasperated, put it with a sigh, they may never get him out again. A chilling prospect, indeed, for a family already stretched to its limit. Those whispered concerns, once mere anxieties, now appear to be hurtling closer and closer to a stark, uncomfortable reality. Matt Wilkinson, the discerning royal editor at The Sun, a man with his finger firmly on the pulse of palace life, has publicly highlighted the mounting pressure that is undoubtedly building behind the scenes. Easter 2026, a time of renewal and fresh beginnings, was supposedly marked on the royal calendar as the firm deadline for Andrew's final, definitive move to Marsh Farm. However, as is often the case with grand plans and old properties, the renovations are, to put it mildly, dragging on. The property, it turns out, required a truly extensive overhaul, including a complete rewiring, meticulous plastering, and even, gasp, unsettling whispers of asbestos and persistent rat issues. While security cameras and enhanced lighting have been meticulously installed, and the immediate area has been thoughtfully incorporated into Sandringham's exclusive no-fly zone, with the modern convenience of Sky TV even fitted, the simple truth remains: it is still not ready for habitation. Andrew's already precarious situation spiraled into an even more alarming abyss when he was arrested on February 19, 2026, a truly unforgettable 66th birthday, wouldn't you agree? Police detained him for a grueling 11 hours, questioning him on suspicion of misconduct in public office. The investigation centered on whether he had, during his tenure as a UK trade envoy, shared confidential government information with his notorious associate, Jeffrey Epstein. The gravity of these potential charges is truly staggering, carrying with them the chilling prospect of a life sentence. This single event, this unprecedented royal arrest, has undeniably cemented his unenviable position as arguably the most toxic member of the royal family in modern history. A title, I assure you, no one in their right mind would ever aspire to. Wood Farm itself, the very cottage at the heart of this latest royal imbroglio, possesses a rather complicated, almost melancholic history that adds yet another poignant layer to our unfolding narrative. In the early 1900s, it served as a place of quiet, isolated exile for Prince John, King George V's youngest son, who tragically suffered from epilepsy. As his condition worsened, he was sent to live there, away from the bustling court, ultimately passing away at Wood Farm in 1919 at the tender age of just 13 years old. The cottage later, with a touch of royal irony, earned the rather pointed nickname, Divorce Home, when Sarah Ferguson, Andrew's own ex-wife, found herself staying there over Christmas in 1992, conspicuously banned from the formal festivities held at Sandringham House. The sheer, cyclical irony of Andrew, now a pariah in his own right, ending up in this very same place, a historical refuge for royals deemed inconvenient or problematic, is certainly not lost on anyone following this unfolding drama. The royal family's patience, dear friends, is clearly wearing thin, stretched to its absolute breaking point. As Wilkinson shrewdly observed, with a knowing wink, I have a sneaking suspicion he could be in even before that. Because they want Wood Farm back. The longer he's there, the more comfy he gets. The pressure, he clarifies, isn't stemming from Marsh Farm's readiness, it's simply because the family simply wants their property back. A clear, concise, and utterly unambiguous message, and it's not just the inner sanctum of the palace feeling the strain. Even the local residents, those hardy souls living in the quiet vicinity of Sandringham, are far from thrilled by Andrew's presence. Luke Schreier, a neighbor, was refreshingly, brutally blunt about Andrew's unwelcome arrival, declaring, "I just think Andrew needs to go. It's an embarrassment to England. Because this is going to be worldwide." Another resident, living near Wood Farm, echoed this sentiment, calling Andrew's continued presence not a very good idea. The sentiment is clear, he is not wanted. Even the delicate situation concerning his staff has become incredibly complicated, revealing the depth of his isolation. Sources report, with a hint of scandal, that many estate workers are, quite simply, refusing to serve Andrew. They have, we are told, been explicitly informed that they don't have to serve Andrew or work for him if they feel uncomfortable. One insider, revealing the extent of the internal rebellion, added that there's already quite a list saying no thanks. The description of a lot of disquiet because he is now a total pariah paints a vivid, heartbreaking picture of a man increasingly isolated, even among those whose very livelihood depends on serving the royal family. The loyalty once commanded by a prince has evaporated, leaving behind a profound sense of discomfort and refusal. The stark, almost comedic, contrast between Andrew's extravagant demands and the harsh, unyielding reality he now faces is truly something to behold. Before his reluctant departure from Royal Lodge, our former prince wasn't just meekly asking for a new roof over his head. Oh no, my dears, he wanted the entire package, a personal cook to prepare his meals, a dedicated gardener to tend to his grounds, a meticulous housekeeper to manage his affairs, a private driver to ferry him wherever he desired, essentially, a full-time, round-the-clock staff, ensuring his life continued to run with the seamless, luxurious precision he had always known at Royal Lodge. And, of course, the indispensable perk of round-the-clock police protection, a symbol of his former status. What he's actually getting instead, however, is Marsh Farm. Picture this, a modest, red-brick farmhouse, boasting a rather humble 5 bedrooms, 2 reception rooms, and a functional kitchen. His security detail, that crucial protective bubble, will be housed not in a purpose-built wing, but in a second-hand mobile home, costing a rather paltry $33,000. And the property itself? Well, it faces significant flooding risks, is plagued by persistent rodents, adorned with unsightly molehills, and its access road is, quite frankly, riddled with potholes. Adding a final, rather pungent insult to injury, a fleet of 20 tankers recently delivered a staggering 150,000 gallons of liquid manure directly to the property. Can you even imagine the stench? A truly fitting metaphor, perhaps, for the current state of affairs, and what of Sarah Ferguson, his ever-present ex-wife, who had, against all conventional wisdom, continued to live with him at Royal Lodge since their cohabitation began in 2004. She is, reportedly, still planning her own independent move, signaling the definitive end of even this most unconventional and enduring support system. After decades of a truly unique arrangement, where the divorced couple continued to share a home, Ferguson is now actively house hunting in the Windsor area, desperately seeking her own space. Sources suggest she's having no luck, and, rather tellingly, is at her breaking point. The last vestiges of his domestic stability are crumbling around him. The broader implications of this ongoing saga are, quite frankly, staggering and reverberate throughout the very foundations of the monarchy. Andrew's astute biographer, Andrew Loney, articulated the profound concern, noting that Prince William doesn't want to inherit this problem. He correctly points out that Andrew's persistent issues have shaped the reign of Charles, becoming an incessant, unwelcome distraction from all the other work they do. Loney doesn't mince words, stating unequivocally that it has undermined the reputation of the members of the family, and, in a truly damning assessment, has pretty much destroyed the institution. The very fabric of the monarchy, it seems, is being frayed by the actions of one man. King Charles, already grappling with his own very serious health challenges, now faces the deeply uncomfortable prospect of his brother transforming into an even greater liability, a ticking time bomb threatening to derail his nascent reign. The unprecedented nature of Andrew's arrest has drawn chilling comparisons to historical precedents, with some observers grimly noting that the last British royal to face arrest was none other than King Charles I way back in 1647. And, as history so vividly reminds us, that didn't end well for him. The echoes of the past, in this instance, are profoundly unsettling. As we now arrive at the threshold of Easter weekend, the purported deadline for Andrew's final, definitive move, all eyes, both royal and public, are fixed on Sandringham. The burning question remains, will he finally, quietly, comply with the family's wishes, or will he, true to form, stage yet another embarrassing, headline-grabbing standoff? One thing, my dear friends, is crystal clear: the royal family's tolerance for his increasingly tiresome antics has, at long last, reached its absolute, unequivocal limit. The man who once luxuriated in a magnificent 30-room mansion, tended by a small army of 28 dedicated staff members, is now staring down the stark reality of a flood-prone farmhouse, assisted by a mere 3 helpers, with his security detail relegated to a humble mobile home. Sources, whispering from behind palace walls, strongly suggest that he will not take the move easily, and has, with characteristic stubbornness, done everything he can to get out of the house, possible to complicate the matter. The transformation from the once Grand Prince Andrew to the rather unceremonious Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is far more than just a stripping of titles. It signifies the complete, systematic dismantling of a royal lifestyle, one that many, for a very long time, have argued was never truly deserved in the first place. And if his well-established pattern of resistance, of defiance against the inevitable, continues unabated, then Wood Farm, that historically significant, yet currently contested cottage, might not, I fear, be his very last stop on this increasingly humbling, and undeniably dramatic, journey of forced humility. The next chapter, I have no doubt, promises to be just as riveting.